Guys, welcome. In this video, we're going to learn how to create a simple pop-up using JavaScript. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create three files. One is the index.php, second is javascript.js, and the third is the style.css. You can ignore the rest of the files, and you can create that in your project, and you just write a simple HTML with a head section. Include the style sheet using the link href style.css, and inside of the body we're gonna just create a div which would have a class of element, and then there's a span, it says element, and then there's another div where you will put all the text that goes inside of the pop-up. Okay, so all of the text that goes inside of the pop-up goes over here in this div, and it's got an ID of my pop-up and a class of pop-up text. And then I'm using the script tag, and I'm including the jQuery.min.js, and then I'm including that file as well. If you don't want to use it, then you can ignore it, because we're only going to use the JavaScript file, so we'll just use javascript.js. So since we've already created the javascript.js file, we go inside that javascript.js file and we'll write some code. But before that, I want to show you how does this look like for now. Okay, so if you go on to your site, you can see we have an element which has got a span. I'll show that to you. So there's element inside of this div. So inside of the element div, I have got two things. One is the element inside of the span, and second is the text which will have the pop-up. Okay, so what we want to achieve basically is, if you click on the element, let's increase the font. If you click on the element, then this pop-up should display. Now obviously we need to style it as well, so let's style it quickly. I've written down the code so to save time, so I'll just copy that. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to position the element. In fact, what we really want to do now before positioning is that we'll write some JavaScript code. Okay, so we'll get hold of this element first. So we know our JavaScript function, which is document.querySelector, and then we put the class name with a dot sign. And before writing all of this codes, we are wrapping it up in a self-executing function. So we are using function and then $jQuery, and then passing jQuery inside of it, and then we are writing everything inside of this. Okay. If you are not using jQuery, if you're not including jQuery file, then you can ignore this bit. So you can ignore this, and ignore this bit as well. You can ignore this bit as well if you want. Okay, and just write this part of code. But if you are, then you can just include all of this. All of these codes will be there on GitHub. I'll pass the link in the video so you can copy that code. So don't worry about copying it now. Okay, so we've got the element, which is basically this element right here in the span element. We've got we are holding that in a variable, and then we are creating another variable which is pop-up element, and we are getting hold of the pop-up text, which is basically this div that we want to show as a pop-up. Okay, and then we are saying element on click, which means we are saying this element dot on clicks. In fact, this would go as add event listener. Okay, so add event listener, and then click, and then we're calling a function inside of it. Okay, and then we're saying this element, which is the pop-up element dot classlist dot toggle is show, which means that anytime this element is clicked, go ahead and toggle a class of show. Okay, so what this class of show is going to do basically is going to go ahead and create the visibility to visible. Okay, so I'm going to put that there. Okay, and then I'm also going to do is I'm going to write some codes for the element. So I'm adding some CSS to the element. So over here, what I'm doing here is I'm saying that the element has got all of these properties. We'll discuss all of this in a moment, but let's write some CSS for the pop-up text as well. So we are writing the CSS for the element, which is this element, and we are writing this CSS for the pop-up text, which is this element. Okay, and we are keeping the visibility hidden for the so let's get rid of all of this code. Let's comment out everything for now. We don't need this. I want you to focus purely on how does this pop-up works. Okay, let's get rid of this as well for now, so we don't need that. Okay, so all we want to focus on is just the visibility. So I've got a class of show which goes ahead and adds a visibility of visible, and I've got a class of pop-up text which is the class applied to the pop-up over here. Okay, and I'm adding the visibility to hidden. Okay, so initially, which means that initially okay, yeah, initially this div, you can see now it's hidden. Why? Is because you know, it's got the visibility as hidden. So applied a visibility hidden to pop-up text class, which means this is hidden now, it's no longer there. Okay, so it's there but hidden. So if I comment this out, and you can see that this pop-up text comes back. So because I've got that visibility to hidden, it's not there anymore. Okay, so what would happen is that when this element is clicked, okay, you can see that this property is changing, right? Okay, so it's talking the class of show. Okay, so initially the visibility is hidden. Let's refresh it. So you can see now if I'm clicking on this element, this class is being toggled. Okay, so initially that class wasn't there, which means that the visibility was hidden. But when you click that element, the JavaScript is saying that go ahead and toggle the class of show. So in case if it wasn't there, go ahead and add it. So when we clicked on it, this show class was added, this one right here. This, okay, I don't know if I can increase the font. No, I can't. Okay, so this show class will be added, and again if I click it, this show class will be removed. The moment this show class is removed, which means that the visibility hidden will be applied by the CSS because we have set the pop-up text class to visibility hidden. So in this way we have created a pop-up. It's a simple pop-up. We haven't done anything. All we have done is just we've taken a div. Inside of div we have a span element which is where we will click, and then we have another div inside of it which has got the pop-up text inside of it, and all of the text content that goes over here that you want to create a pop-up. We have created a JavaScript file, and you know, we have created the variables element and pop-up element, got hold of them using these methods of JavaScript, and then we are applying an event to the element saying that, you know, when that element is clicked, go ahead and toggle the class of show. When the class is applied, that element will be shown, and when that class is removed, the element will be hidden because the visibility is hidden for that particular element that we have set in the class. Okay, so we've got everything that we need. We've created a pop-up. All we have to do now is just style it. Okay, so let's go ahead and style it then. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to add some padding, margin, and this user select none means that once this feature, this property and value is applied, the user will no longer be able to, you know, select this particular text when click. As you can see now that if I'm double clicking on it, this element is getting selected. So that select feature will go off once this property is defined, and then setting a border, and then we are setting this to display inline block. So let's see how that looks like. So okay, so this is how our element looks like right now. Okay, now the reason why there is a, you know, space over here, because at this moment we have our pop-up text inside of this. You can see this pop-up text is inside of it, right? It's there, but it's hidden because we have applied a class of applied a class of pop-up text and set that visibility to hidden. That's why it's hidden, but it's there, it's not gone. That is why you see a space around it. Otherwise the space wouldn't have been there, because there's the element inside of this particular div. Okay, so what we're going to do is, because I want to show that as a pop-up, if you click on it, there's a pop-up over here, but that's not what we want. What we really want is that when this element is clicked, I want a pop-up to display on top of it. Okay, so for that, all we have to do is very simple. Go ahead and change the position of this element and set that to on top. But before we change the position, let's style our pop-up text box as well. So I'm going to go ahead and add some CSS for that as well. So I'm going to set that to display block. I'm going to set some width to it, and then I'm going to set some padding. I will set some font size, border, background, and color. All of this code will be there in the link, so you can always copy that. Okay, so you can see that this is styled now. Now if I click on it, as you can see, that is a gray background, and the color is white. There's a border there, so all of those things I've gone ahead and added that over there. Okay, cool. All we want to do now is also create there is an arrow sign, it should be there. So for that, we'll just write some CSS. So in CSS, you don't really have to add a div for that. All you can do is just go ahead and create a content. So we'll say pop-up text, and then there's 2 colons after, and then content is nothing, and then we style it. So this would actually add a content of this particular color and all. So I'll just show that to you. So what we're doing is here is that to this particular element, pop-up text, after this element we want to go ahead and add a content and add a color to it. So you've set these properties. Content is nothing, position is absolute. Why position? When you set a position to absolute, that particular element leaves the DOM, but doesn't leave the space that it has. It leaves the DOM actually, and it leaves the property of display inline block or whatever it has. Okay, so it becomes an inline element. Okay, it leaves the property of block if it has any. Okay, so we'll set the position to absolute. We'll put the position of top, left, set the border color, we keep it transparent and all of that. So you're giving the same color as this one. So let's go ahead and in fact the border should also be the same color, so it get mixed up in this. Okay, so now if you click on it, right now it's showing over here, but in a moment if I set the position of the container, the element to be relative, and then it's come over here, so we just need to set the position. In fact, let's go ahead and instead of giving this a class of element, let's go ahead and give this a class. Let's see how that goes. No, that's not going to work. So we'll fix that in a moment. This arrow is being applied over here, but not here. We'll fix that in a moment. But let's move this whole thing on top. Okay. So let's do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and give the position absolute to the the second element as well, which is the text box, pop-up text. We'll give it some bottom property, we'll give some left value to it. So what's going to happen is that because you've set the position as absolute and it's relative to its parent, okay, in fact, yeah, it's relative to its parent, then it's going to go ahead and leave the DOM and move up. So let's refresh the page, click on it, and sure enough you can see that this has gone up, and it's taken, this arrow is also taken the position right below it. So I've given all the position, set all the position to the arrow and all that. Okay, so as you can see, that's pop-ups created. That's all you have to do. It's very simple. Okay, you can see that you click on element, you get a pop-up. Even if you click on pop-up, that pop-up goes, or if you click back on it, that pop-up goes. It's very simple. I hope you liked the video. If you did, do subscribe to my channel and share my video with others. and leave any comments if you need. And please go, you can get the link of this quotes and everything at in the description box. See you guys. Take care. Bye bye.